We are now calling to order. Microphone, please, Chair. I forget. We are now calling to order the Seaside Parks and Recreation Committee special meeting. Public participation and instructions. No. Okay. Call to order.
Commissioner Lobo,
Here.
Commissioner Walton, Commissioner Daniels, Commissioner Moulton, Commissioner Nielsen,
Here.
Commissioner White,
Here.
Vice Chair Maxwell,
Present.
Chair Gaines Lynch.
Present.
For the record, we have a quorum.
Number 2 on the agenda. To view this meeting using the Zoom application on your smartphone, laptop, tablet, desktop, or click on this link.
I think sorry, point of order.
Oh,
We
I'm
missed
sorry.
number 3, approval of minutes.
We're on public comment.
Okay. No? Public comment. To make public comment, the following options are available. Before the meeting, via email, written comments can be emailed to dmewis@ci.seaside.california.us. Include the following subject line, public comment item number. Insert the agenda item number relevant to your comment. Written comments must be received at least 2 hours prior to the meeting time on the day of the meeting. During the meeting via oral comments, when the chair calls for public comment, members of the public participating in person and wishing to address the commission may approach the podium when the chair calls for public comment.
Those in the chamber wishing to make public comment, please approach the podium. Chair, no one is stepping up to the podium to make public comment.
Thank you. Number 3, approval of minutes. Public comment is now closed. Approval of minutes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes with some corrections. And do you
Second.
want it?
It has been approved by Commissioner Nielsen and second by Commissioner Maxwell to approve the minutes with any necessary corrections. Calling for public comment.
The corrections,
There is a correction.
the corrections I have are under public comments. It's just a grammar issue. It says they was told instead of they were told.
Point of order, can we close public comment before we give the corrections?
She did.
I didn't hear her close public comment.
One more page. It's under the public comments right in the beginning. Let's see, where is that? Get to them. You see that? And then there's another place under comment by Commissioner Lobo on, I think it's under the item 7A. think that's where it is. If goals was discussed, should be if goals were. And that's in the first line. You see that? Yeah. And then my comment in talking about the Christmas lights contest. Is that at the end or the beginning? Took a picture of them. That's why I don't know what page it is. Yeah, it would be. Oh, okay. It's 7B. And way in the middle of the back page. It says I stated I was surprised. The surprise idea concerns me, but it doesn't say anything about it else about a surprise. Basically, it's. Okay, you remember that part? Okay, great. And then last. Okay. Oh, no, that's it. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Jared, there's a couple of other corrections. And it's just spelling stuff, and it's above two paragraphs above that. Chair Gaines Lynch asked about what king. It should be kind of prizes. And then the next point down is Commissioner Walton asked if the commission instead of commissions. So the S should be deleted off that. And then down further where it says Commissioner Lobo and Commissioner Maxwell will go to the neighborhood. Well, the only correction is that I did not attend that meeting. So, yeah. Also the last part of the reports from commissioners, item 10. Commissioner Lobo stated she attended the Halloween Bonanza. She recommended some changes instead of changed to the haunted house. And that's all.
With any necessary commission, are there any other questions? Public comment?
Those wishing to make public comment on this item, please approach the podium. Seeing none,
Hearing none, calling for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Nays have the same right. Hearing none, motion carries. All right. Okay, we're on item number 4, review of the agenda. If there are any items that arose after the 72-hour posting deadline, this is the point in the meeting where a vote may be taken to add the item to the agenda. A 2-to-3 majority vote is required. Are there any additions? Hearing none. Calling for a motion? No. All right, so next on the agenda is business items. Item A, preliminary discussion on the potential locations for a pump track.
Good evening, commissioners. Nice to see you again. I'm Assistant Public Works Director Carolyn Burke, and I'm here to solicit some very preliminary input on potential locations for a pump track here in Seaside, at one of our parks in Seaside. So as far as background, the idea of a pump track The pump track line item has been on last year's and this year's capital improvement program budget. Back in fiscal year 22-23, it specifically noted Havana Solis Park, and it had a line item for $250,000 to begin plans for a pump track. And then it had a projected 23-24 contribution of $300,000. That 23-24 contribution that had not been approved, that's just a forecasted budget. So what had been approved was just the $250,000. In fiscal year 23-24, that amount got reduced, and the difference went to the Cutino Park improvements. Also, the designation of Havana Solis Park was changed to look for a location with sufficient space. And this became initial funding for just the park selection and a concept plan. So much more high level, and just $25,000 was allotted for that endeavor. So there are some nearby projects that have very recently been opened. One is nearby in Marina at Gloria Jean Tate Park, and that's about 0.8 acres. And it was just opened in 2023 to great fanfare. And then the next one is Watsonville. They have a pump track at Ramsey Park, takes up about 0.5 acre, and that one was opened in 2021. So potential locations, we're looking for parks that don't have a whole lot of vertical elevation drop, because a pump track, you're supposed to be able to start at the beginning, and the momentum takes you all the way around the park or around the track. So one park potential would be Mescal Neal Park. It's 0.8 acres, so it's within that realm of the right size. And it has somewhat undulating terrain right now, but relatively flat. And then another potential location would be Portola Leslie Park. This is a park that is a little under the radar, but it is located adjacent to Martin Luther King School for the Arts. And it's about 1.4 acres, and it has some nice flat terrain. So there you would have, the connection with the school nearby and similar uses. The next one, so Laguna Grande Park had been a park that had been brought up, from what I understand, in some very initial conversations years ago. As we looked into the different areas of ownership in that park, initially the center part of the driveway where you circle in and out had been identified as, oh, well, that might be a nice place about the right size. It's about 0.8 acres. But that is owned by the regional park district. So the seaside portion that we own is shown there in yellow. And I kind of have a star there on the zoomed out map, and then that shows the more zoomed in map. And we have picnic areas in the master plan. It's designated for picnic areas. So we'd have to look at master plan consistency as well. It has, so there are 2 picnic areas there, the eucalyptus picnic area that is used quite a bit from what I understand, and the hillside picnic area below that's not used as much. This one has more site constraints as well, because it has a trail that goes through, and that trail would not be moving. So it'd be something where there would be, once again, a little topography, but if it was desirable to have something that would maybe be a little more central and close to, I think someone had mentioned it being visible, that might be a benefit. This is a more visible location, accessible location from a main roadway. And then, yeah, so those are just several options. And I don't want to give anyone the impression that we have, taken strides in any of these directions. we definitely wanted to bring this to the Parks and Rec Commission for input or ideas for us to explore with the consultant, because our next steps would be, after receiving input here, to hire a design consultant, establish the feasibility of a site, and then complete some high-level concept plans for a pump track, and then bring that back to council. Any further decisions about including it in subsequent budgets would be up to the council to decide at the time that they adopt the budget and the capital improvement program. So, so I thank you for your attention and input, and I'm happy to hear what you have to say. And also, I know that this is kind of a surprise too. So I wanted to definitely put it on all of your radars, because I know that this one little line item, it's easy to get overlooked, but has a big impact on our residents here in Seaside.
Thank you, Ms. Burke. Will there be any questions from the commission? Commissioner Lobo?
I have a couple of questions. So it originally was 250,000, and then this allocation for 23 and 24, you said that there was an additional 25, or it got bumped down to only 25,000 as a whole budget?
Yeah, so in the previous year, in the 22-23 fiscal year, no money was actually spent out of that initial 250,000 allocation. So the next year, they reduced it down to 25,000 and said, just look at an initial concept. So no funds have been spent on this effort at this time. So 25,000 is the total amount for the line item in fiscal year 23-24 budget.
But is that inclusive to the 250, or was the 250 dismantled and only 25,000 was allocated to create the concept? And is that money going to be reallocated once it's adopted or once a decision is made?
Yeah, so the latter. So the 250,000 that was taken off the books, and it's just 25,000 for just this initial concept. And then next year they would council would consider how much to allocate to it and whether any funds would be rolled over. So if we did hire a design consultant and then they didn't use that complete amount, that would be rolled over from the 25,000.
Why was the Havana Solis Park taken off the location area?
Well, I think as we went through our master plan process, when that really became, part of the outlook and getting that feedback, it was not that a pump track would be, appropriate there. And so we're looking at other options.
And my last question is, when we're talking about the pump track, what space was originally allocated? Because some of the options that you provided us differ in acres. Like if it was put in Laguna Grande, it'd be 1.3, I believe, versus if it was at Mescal, it'd be 0.8, if I'm correct.
Yeah, so in having some brief conversations with the other neighboring cities that have done similar things, it can really be as small or as big as you make it. It's just going to be that the complexity would be different. So say in Marina, they actually have an easy, medium, and hard track kind of all in one. So you could take one route for easy, one for intermediate, one for more advanced. If you had a smaller area, it might be a more simple pump track than a larger area. So we were kind of bracketing it by, anything from half an acre to an acre in size. And so those ones where you see a little bit more than an acre, it doesn't mean that it would take up the entire amount, but it just gives you an idea of roughly the size available.
Those are all my questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Are there any more questions?
I have one question. So the size, the $250,000 that's gone
Yes.
for now, $20,000, and the $25,000 is for the concept and design.
It would be for a conceptual design, which would be very high level, such as this is where it could be situated in the park. This is,
What part?
Yes, and what parks are,
And so depending on the design and the concept, will that $250,000 be available pending on the design of the concept?
well, that's up to council to decide. Obviously, they have a lot of priorities. So what we would be doing is kind of coming back to them and saying, is this, and we likely come back to Parks and Rec Commission for your take on what we come up with. And then you would provide a recommendation to City Council as to whether you would support that location and the concept of having a pump track there. If they agreed with that, then we have a conceptual plan that we can use in future years. If it doesn't fit in this budget year, it's something where we have an idea of where that could go and where we all agree would be a good spot for that amenity.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner McEnroe,
Mhm.
Commissioner Nielsen.
Yes, I have a few questions.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a surprise.
Yes, yeah.
Um, thank you for your initial presentation. Wouldn't it have been something that should be part of the master plan that this would have been in? I mean, I know we don't talk super specific with master plan, but this is a pretty big deal,
Mhm.
I think. That's one of my questions. My other suggestion is to collaborate with the school district and some of their larger properties that could more city recreation and schools seem to be collaborating on sharing their space like we used to in the old days. And this could be a potentially really nice thing for a school to have that the public would have access to. I don't support most of the parks that putting it at a park that's been not Laguna Grande because there's so much wildlife and birding that goes on there and just one more activity with lots of noise and such. And I don't support it in Havana Solis and not Mescal Neal. I mean, there aren't a lot of kids that live around Mescal Neal, really. And I honestly don't support it unless it's in a place that isn't going to interrupt the neighborhood. And what do we have at Catino? Isn't there a kind of a pump track there?
Skate park and bikes are not allowed.
Bikes are not allowed. And I really feel like we should be gearing some of the things to all ages, not just, I mean, it's great that kids have these options. Catino Park is a wonderful place. We have other parks that I guess they're not really appropriate for teenagers, but I don't think a pump track would be encompass that many, that big of an age group. So I personally am, I'm surprised and I could, Portola Leslie, that's a possibility. That's by a school, right? It's very near a school.
Yeah.
So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane.
Commissioner Lola.
Can that 25 be allocated to something else, or is it just specifically allocated for this budgetary line item?
Yes, it's specifically allocated for a pump track in the capital improvement program budget. And that was a specific request of council at the time. So we as Public Works feel compelled to follow through with that expectation.
Okay.
And at least developing a concept and a location.
So Just because I'm not familiar with pump tracks, from my understanding, they're only for bikes, correct? Those that are not motorized and those are just basic bicycles. Is that correct?
Correct. And as I noted earlier, they can go for a range of skill levels and ages. So, in some other locations, they've got ones that are easy enough in some locations for kids that don't even have wheels on their bikes. And that's one of the things is if they can balance, then they can be able to kind of ride the pump track through. And then there are other, more advanced levels for more young adolescents and young teens to be able to do things that are more challenging where maybe you bank and things like that.
Okay, my recommendation would be to consider Havana Solis specifically because MPUSD, which is our local Monterey County District of Education here locally, encompass almost 10,000 children, and majority of those children come from the city of Seaside. So when we're talking about Mescal, that area has a whole school that's right across the street, which is MLK. You also have ISM there. Havana Solis actually is the only park that encompasses those families that are coming from Ord Grove, the back end of Ord Terrace, and then also military. So you would be encompassing those individuals. There isn't much space, so I would recommend it for it to be older, so a little bit more difficult, because then you'll have more middle school to high school kids there utilizing that, which will prevent a lot of what I'm hearing is wanting to not have traffic of children go through Havana and Lincoln, Cunningham. So, but because we are very highly populated with children and the highest single mother rate in Monterey County comes from Seaside. So I just want to make sure that we are aware of that. And because perhaps in the past, we have been looked at as a bedroom community, specifically on that end of Ord Grove, Military, Havana. But in fact, we have more majority of kids that reside there in two-parent household. So that would be my recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I may, I just want to elaborate too, that it's not specifically for bikes as scooters, roller skates, roller blades, anything really with two wheels benefits from the pump track, unlike the skate park, where the skate park is made for like jumping and things like that. It makes it unsafe for a lot of those types. This is more coasting and gliding. And I will say that a lot of adults do enjoy it too.
Commissioner Mansfield.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Ms. Burks, for your wonderful presentation. I am in total agreement with Commissioner Nielsen about her feelings for the location of the pump track. And I think the ideal park would be Portola Leslie because the close proximity to the schools that are there and the size of it. And there's really not a lot of other stuff going on there. There really isn't. So that was all I had to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Ms. Burks.
Mhm.
Public comment?
We do need, public comment is open on this item. Those of you wishing to make public comment, please approach the podium.
Hi, I'm Jeannie Reese, and I live near Havana Solis and Lincoln Cunningham. And I echo the sentiment that Havana Solis, Lincoln Cunningham would not be good places for the pump track. I think the idea of a pump track is awesome. And I think that the children, the young people of Seaside deserve to have something that's as awesome as what they have in Marina. That would be really cool. But I also am thinking about the kinds of things that we talked about with a concept plan and the way that so many neighbors said what they wanted in Lincoln Cunningham and Havana Solis. And I think that using those two parks as places that, walking dogs and things like that. Both of those parks are really, really close to residences. I mean, some of the residences their backyards are right there. And I while I want to give recreation to young people, I also feel like that is not a really, if I were a neighbor who had their backyard right there, I wouldn't want that kind of an activity going on so close to my own house. Also, I think that this might be something that would be drawing people even to come from longer distances, which would be awesome. And, you know, maybe it's something that we need to think of. Do we need to think about parking? And those two parks do not have any kind of parking. I guess, I don't know. I guess people would ride their bike there or their scooter there, but those are my feelings about it. So thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Chair, see no one else wanting to make public comment.
Does anyone else want to make any public comment? Any more public comment? Hearing none, seeing none. Public comment is closed on this item. Next item would be item B, discuss and review the Arbor Day ceremony proposal that the Parks and Recreation Subcommittee will present for consideration. Commissioner Nielsen.
Thank you, Chair. I wrote an introduction to the, I wrote a proposal, or our subcommittee wrote a proposal on why Arbor Day ceremony is important in our city. And that is that we are, our city of Seaside is proud to be part of Tree City USA. Our urban forests and city trees and residential trees and open spaces and parks and businesses provide enormous benefits to our city. It helps mitigate climate change, stormwater runoff, provides shade, sequester carbon dioxide, creates a sense of well-being as well as beauty, and are vital for wildlife habitat and our very survival. As a Tree City USA, City of Seaside obviously is aware of the importance of trees. And one responsibility that our commission has is to monitor, observe, and as a result, make recommendations to the council on the condition of our urban forest and present ideas on how to improve it. Tree cities are required to meet a yearly minimum criteria to remain a tree city. The Public Works Department staff plants trees each April to meet part of this criteria. Our community is not really aware of where and when this happens. Therefore, it's a missed opportunity to highlight the city's commitment to planting trees in our city. As such, the subcommittee would like to make a proposal that would raise awareness in our community about the importance of this activity and what our city is doing to better the environment for its citizens. So there is an attached Arbor Day ceremony potential agenda that could happen on Earth Day, which is near Arbor Day. The city generally plants Arbor Day trees on the last Friday of April, I think. And I believe that the Earth Day celebration is happening that Sunday. It's on Sunday generally, I think. And we can combine it there and have a 30-minute place on the Earth Day schedule to have the mayor read a proclamation, the Arbor Day proclamation, and do a flag raising of the Arbor Day flag. And then there could be a tree planting demonstration. And then we could have, there are details in here and I'm not going to go through them all. And other activities that the community can engage in to bring the awareness, like poetry or artwork. And that is a 30-minute proposed event to happen in conjunction with Earth Day. This year, not this year, in 2024, April. That's my presentation from our committee.
Can I add something? So we're looking to get an approval so that we could take it to council in the new year so that we can take it effect and it commence this year in April.
So, you're looking for, a motion to accept this proposal.
Public comment?
Point of clarification. Has there been any, because the Earth Day celebration is put on through Sustainable Seaside and the city co-sponsors, has there been any discussion with Sustainable Seaside and to add this to their program?
Yes,
Okay, so that when they submit their proposal to the Recreation Department for their event, like their special event permit application, all of this should be included in top of that. So if the commission wants to go forward with it, it doesn't necessarily need to go to council, because it would just be included in the program, and we can add it when it comes to council for their approval to co-sponsor the event. We can just make sure it's part of that.
well, one question I have is if we're going to ask the mayor to read the proclamation, and if we're going to ask the city to raise an Arbor Day flag, don't we have to have city council approval?
We can have all that included in the special event application when they approve the event as a whole. So all of that can be included as part of the approval. Well, the special event committee is all city staff, but then, the staff will review it, and then the next step, after the staff gives it the green light, then it will come to council for their approval.
So when does that take place?
Whenever they submit the application to the Parks and Rec, to the Recreation Department, which generally comes in, we bring in like February, maybe.
I guess my main concern is just wondering about timing, because sometimes things get waylaid and then it backs up, then it gets changed to the pushed to the next year. Like they don't have time to consider that because they don't have enough time to think about it. But I feel like raising the flag, I know there were some, we don't want to raise the flag just for a day. I'm thinking for a week at least. And doesn't that have to be approved by the council?
We can have multiple action items within the staff report for them to approve.
Mhm.
So then it would be the event, it would be approving the raising of the flag, which would need to go to them anyways, because that flag is not currently in our flag policy. So that would have to be an addition anyways, but that can all be part of the approval process.
Okay, thank you.
So, Commissioner Rowland.
So what I understand is that instead of us sending it as a separate item in January's agenda for whatever case, we're going to include it with perhaps in February when Sustainable Seaside submits theirs. And within that, we'll be submitting our amendment to put our flag on the calendar. I think one of the concerns was that in the event that someone else puts in a submission for that date, that we'll be out of it. But if we're able to include it with their special requests. And we can divide those line items to make sure that they do understand that we're amending it for us to have a flag. Cause that's something that needed to be approved, and I think we talked about it because it had to be put on a calendar. We're not on a calendar, or a schedule of calendar to lift the flag up. So will we be responsible to reach out to Sustainable Seaside and ask them, hey, when are you gonna submit your paperwork? Because we'd like you to include this, an amendment to the ordinance now that will include blah, 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 and the rest.
We don't need to do an amendment to the ordinance. So all it
Okay.
would be, it would be the commission working with Sustainable Seaside on their application, right? They have a pretty much a standard application that they've been submitting for years, right? We're just going to need to put in there that there's also a collaboration with the Parks and Rec Commission to hold this Arbor Day ceremony in conjunction with Earth Day. And that would, we would probably word it when we bring it to council saying, you know, this is Earth Day celebration and Arbor Day celebration on the state, brought, you know, co-sponsored by the city of Seaside and Sustainable Seaside. And then we put all the details within the staff report. And then here's our recommendations. Approve the street closure, approve the fee waiver request, approve the special event permit, approve raising the flag for Arbor Day from April, you know, from this date to this date. So we would have all of that in there, and they could decide as a council whether or not they want to approve everything individually or approve it all as just one lump and say, yeah. I would, yeah, definitely work with Catherine Crockett on this.
So at this time, the motion would be that we include ourselves with the Arbor Day, what is it, Earth Day celebration.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, it's the commission support to partner with Sustainable Seaside for the Earth Day celebration to put on this Arbor Day piece.
Yeah. So we would make a motion for that. I'll
Correct.
accept the motion.
I'll second the motion.
No, I'm accepting it. If who wants to? You want to make the motion?
I'll make a motion to work with Sustainable Seaside to see if they are able to, well, I have been working with them, but to see if we can collaborate and get that on their schedule to have an Arbor Day celebration as part of their program that day.
I second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Nielsen that we collaborate with Sustainable Seaside and move forward with them in their Earth Day celebration to include our Arbor Day request. You have heard the most, and
Public
second by James White. You have heard the motion. Public comment?
Members in the public in the chamber wishing to make comment, please approach the podium. Seeing none.
Seeing none, hearing none, public comment closed, calling for the vote. All in favor? Nays have the same right? Hearing none, motion carries. All right, thank you. We are back to
See.
item C, discuss changing the January 15, 2024 special meeting and the February 19, 2024 regular meeting due to the city observed holidays.
Chair. So this is pretty standard operating for us, you know, with the commission having our meetings on the third Monday of the month. Every year, third Monday is observed by Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And then in February, it is President's Day. So typically we choose either the second or the fourth Mondays in January and February.
Commissioner Maxwell,
I would like to make a motion to move the January special meeting to January 22nd, 2024.
I'll second that motion.
You are going to do them individually.
I would.
I think that would be nice. Okay. I'll make a motion to move the January special meeting to Monday, January 22nd, and then the February regular meeting to February 26th.
I need a second, please.
I second the motion.
It has been moved by Commissioner Maxwell that we move the special meetings for January and February. The January meeting will be moved to January 22nd, 2024, and the February meeting will be moved to February 26th, 2024. Calling for the public comment.
Members in the chamber wishing to make public comment, please approach the podium. Seeing none.
Seeing none, hearing none. Public comment closed. Calling for the vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nays have the same right. Hearing none, seeing none, motion carries. Next on the agenda would be item D, provide update of reinstatement of the Youth Commission.
Chair, if I may. Part of this, I wanted to make the commission aware, and I want to apologize. I kind of jumped the bell, if you will, here. I wasn't aware that commissions aren't allowed to make recommendations for other commissions. I was under the assumption that because the Youth Commission could fall under Parks and Rec, that the Parks and Rec Commission could make changes to that ordinance and the reinstatement of commissions, when in fact, the reinstatement of commissions needs to be directed by the city council. I wanted to get this going and move faster on this. But after consulting with the city manager and other staff, that this is, the route that it needs to take. And the reinstatement of the youth commission or any commission would need to come from the city council when they're ready to do it. And then it would be up to the commission itself to then make changes on their ordinance. For example, we wouldn't have the Art and History Commission wanting to make changes to the Parks and Rec Commission ordinance or vice versa. So once again, I apologize for, not getting all the information before we discussed this in the past. And I know the commission did put some work and effort into this. Hopefully that when it gets reinstated, that the work that this commission put in could then go to the youth commission meetings and share their thoughts and work with them on the, potential changes to the ordinance. But at this point, this commission does not have the authority to make any changes to that ordinance.
Commissioner Maxwell.
Can we still make a recommendation to the council? As far as maybe getting this thing happening again? Because it's been dormant for 10 years.
I will speak with the city manager and see how he would want me to proceed with that. And I'll let them know that the commission wants to make that recommendation.
Commissioner Lobo?
Yeah, that was my next question, is the method of having this be put on the agenda would be making that public request to the city council and city manager to then ask the city council to put it on the agenda to discuss? Or like Commissioner asks, can we make that recommendation to be considered to be put on the agenda for discussion?
It's really up to, I mean, if I put it on the agenda, whether or not they're gonna want it to stay on the agenda if they're not ready for it, right? So I think it may even be better for the commission or the commissioners as members of the public, potentially to go to a city council meeting and then make public comment about it, potentially maybe, the best way at this point. But I will, I'll continue to talk with the city manager and see how he wants me to proceed with this. But at this moment, we can't make any decisions based on this item right now.
I do have one question about the youth commission. What months will they be in operation? Will it be summer months so it doesn't bother their school months? That's my question.
I believe based on the ordinance, they operate like any other commission just throughout the year. And they would set, they would have us, once it was reinstated, they would have set meeting days like any other commission. And if, it was set that they didn't meet during the winter or whatever, based on schools, like that would, but.
Okay. That's my question. So are we gonna table this?
I think for now, like that's the only step that we really can take is to table it. And then I'll continue my discussions with the city manager and the council and hopefully it can bring you back some more information.
So I'm gonna entertain a motion to table it.
Yeah, we can still open up public comment on this.
Public comment? Will there be any public comment on
Comment for this item, please approach the podium.
item D?
Seeing none.
Seeing none, hearing none, public comment closed, and I will entertain the motion. To
A
table
motion to table the item 5D.
item 5 until a later date. We don't even know the date until later.
I make a motion to table item 5E or 5D.
You're seconding, I already motioned.
Oh, you did? Oops, my bad. I was in a different world, I guess. Okay, I second that motion.
It has been moved by Commissioner Lobo and second by Commissioner Maxwell that we table item D until a later date. We've had the public comment. All in favor?
Aye.
Nays have the same right? Hearing none, seeing none. Item D is tabled. Motion carries. Item E. Time to go on a tour. Do we have a bus and a driver?
We do.
I have a question.
Me too.
Pardon me?
Go
Oh,
ahead.
okay, concerning the judging and stuff, is there a criteria that we're?
I've made a sheet and I will go over it.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. I'm back to earth.
Commissioner Lobo.
On the registration, my only recommendation with that is if it's going into a weekend, if you can have it until Monday, because on Friday, I told about 10 people on my block and they said it was closed and they can no longer register. So that weekend would have been nice to have them and perhaps got the list today, early today, and closed it this morning because there was like several houses.
We're
don't know.
judging today though.
I had it,
That's my only recommendation.
we had it open, for a week and I was scrambling to try and make it work. And, I didn't want to be inundated with is more than we could bite off, right? So we do have 13 houses that we're going to be looking at. They're throughout the city and maybe as we look at doing this, in the future, we'll obviously have more time to open it up and, have it out there. I think it was a little bit of a scramble, but we got something. So we're going to have the ability to look at some of these houses, provide some winners. I think what we'll do is we'll look at having first, second, third, and we'll be able to provide some gift cards from Seaside businesses to all those. And I will send a letter to everybody that participated as well.
I thought we were gonna get Starbucks tonight as well.
That is not on the agenda, so you're more than welcome to drive to Starbucks real quick if you want to grab one.
All right, so at this time, oh, okay.
I just have one question. So we're coming back here and then we're gonna have reports from staff and parks and all that after that.
Yes.
Okay, just wondering if we could shift it up, but I guess we can't.
If you would like to do all that now, I think we can make a motion to move everything up and then just we can adjourn the meeting after all of that if.
Yeah, the meeting to be adjourned after the, on the bus. We could adjourn the meeting on the bus.
Well, we'd have to still come back and adjourn the meeting here,
Oh, we would?
but yeah, we have to come turn everything off, but if you, it would just be just to adjourn. But if you want to, eliminate all this now, we can, make a quick motion and do all the reports.
Okay, can I get a motion?
A motion that we do the staff reports prior to 5E, the holiday lights, and then keep adjournment at then.
I second the motion.
Thank you. The motion has been moved by Commissioner Lobo that we move everything up, items 6, 7, and 8 up, and return back to the chambers and adjourn the meeting. It has been moved by Commissioner Lobo, second by Commissioner Nielsen. Public comment?
Members in the chamber wishing to make public comment, please approach the podium. Seeing
Public
none.
comment closed. All in favor?
Aye.
Nays have the same right? Hearing none, seeing none, motion carries to move the items up and return for adjournment. Okay. So next on the agenda is reports from recreation staff.
All right, since last meeting, we have held 3 events, Cereal with Santa, the tree lighting, and the older adult holiday luncheon. I want to say that we had excellent attendance for all 3 events. Cereal with Santa was the largest we've had in our 3rd year, so really excited for the growth in that. The tree lighting was phenomenal. Excellent attendance out there. It was a bit chilly. We did give out over 50 gallons of hot cocoa during the evening. And I think you can see how cold it actually was that it's been here is because the snow actually lasted out on City Hall lawn for almost a week. So normally it melts like that weekend, but so it definitely was a bit chilly here. Overall, just wonderful. And then the older adult holiday luncheon, we gave out 300 tickets. They all got a wonderful meal on Saturday. So really, doing really good things. We had registration open for winter, spring. We are, moving and shaking as we look forward to closing out 2023 and move into 2024. And we should have some new programs and activities on the horizon. I will say I will be starting up, I know the drop-in pickleball at the Oldemeyer Center on Mondays and Fridays. Set up a little court inside the hall just to give a little action, and especially on a day when it's like rainy like this and they can't play outside. So we're going to start that up in the new year, and we'll see if we get some participation out there.
Wonderful. Any comments or recreation staff? Okay, item number 7. Reports from park staff.
Good evening, commissioners. Oh, beautiful little picture from Bella here. So cute. Okay, so yeah, so Highland, so pleased to give you an update on our parks projects. For Highland Otis, the playground equipment has pretty much been installed and we're looking to be done at the end of December with construction there. At Fernando Park, we're about 90% done. We still have benches and handrails to install. And there's been a bit of a delay due to weather. So as soon as we have the handrails installed, we'll be able to open that park. It's the benches, we can open it without that, but we need the handrails for safety. And then in Pachetti Park and Mescal Neal Park, we still have an additional couple of tables to be installed at Mescal Neal. And so we're waiting for the weather on those. So hopefully in January, hopefully we don't have a winter like last year. I feel like I shouldn't even jinx us in that way. And then Coutinho Park, there's lots has been done and there's lots left to do. So we exported the material a couple weeks ago. We had some excess dirt there. Irrigation was done last week. But we still have landscaping, the asphalt in the parking lot, concrete for the picnic areas and benches. And so we're hoping to get that done at the end of January is our target. Sabado Park, we have started work on landscaping. So you'll see a fenced off area there where they're working on where the grass was. The landscaping should be done with the planting of drought tolerant plants in mid-January. And then we're going to be installing some play equipment with a climbing rock rocker, benches, and a barbecue there. So those are my updates for this meeting.
Commissioner Maxwell?
Thank you, Ms. Burke, for your reports. I have a question, a couple questions. For the Highland Otis Park, is there going to be a little mini ceremony like ribbon cutting for the new apparatus, or is just going to open?
I have not received formal word, but I know that council does like to do ribbon cuttings. It may be that, you know, maybe there's a quiet opening and then we have more of a showcase after that, but I'll definitely make a note and work with the city manager on that.
Okay, because once that is complete, that park is pretty much done as far as all that we envisioned and FOSPA envisioned from many years ago. Also over the weekend, the Coutinho Park temporary fencing along Noche Buena was totally knocked down.
Okay.
I don't know what day it was, but it was over this weekend.
I'll make sure that they're.
And I don't think it was the wind,
Okay.
because those sections are all tied together. Okay, that was it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments? Thank you.
Of course, there is.
Commissioner Nielsen?
Okay.
I drove by Sabado today, but I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything different. What did you say had happened so far?
They're working on removing the grass and putting in the drought tolerant landscaping. So they were going to be installing fencing. Did you not see any fencing up there? Okay. Make sure.
I didn't see anything started, but you know, I didn't get out and walk around. I drove by. I thought I could see the whole area.
Yeah, my report had been that they had started work on the landscaping. They were fencing off the area where they were going to remove the existing grass. So maybe that didn't make it
So they
up
were
before the rains.
So they were gonna, it was gonna be done by already. but
Mid-January.
Okay, said 11/27 through 12/14, but And the play equipment, what is the play equipment again?
There is a climbing rock, a seahorse rocker, and some benches and a barbecue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Ms. Burke, I do have to say, I live on Darwin Street, so I'm going around that circle maybe 3-4 times a day. I haven't seen any.
You haven't seen
activity
anything?
As
Okay,
well, so,
okay.
yeah, that's my park.
Thank you for that. We have eyes in the field and I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Reports from commissioners.
I have like a request.
And
Well, I've been really busy with different other stuff, so I was unable to attend many of the events that Mr. Dan Mewis, our recreation director, had mentioned. But I want to say that Dan has done a tremendous job with the amount of staff that he has been working with. And there are more that are like moving on to other places of employment. So we need to really put our heads together, maybe reach out to friends, family, and other community members if we know of anybody that's interested in being in the employee in the recreation department. Dan is in dire straits really as far as needing staff. So I just wanted to report that.
thank you.
Chair,
Commissioner News.
thank you. I did attend the holiday luncheon to help out on this past Saturday. And I have to say, it put me in the Christmas spirit. I wasn't in it until that day. And it was just looked like a really, fun. Everybody seemed to be having a great time and they had entertainment and the music and Santa Claus and good food. So it was really a neat event.
Thank you.
I have nothing to report this time.
Commissioner Lobo.
There's gonna be a peaceful rally on Thursday, starting at the Oldemeyer Center against police brutality and youth. And so I'd really appreciate it if y'all can make it out. It's just the youth, it's youth led. So the youth will be coming out just talking about the culture of our local police department against them. If y'all are not aware, there's a video that's circulating with our police officer of Seaside assaulting a minor and has been put on administrative leave. And so that'll start on Thursday at 4 p.m. at Oldemeyer Center, and then we'll march down to City Council and make public comment. That's all I have.
Thank you. I was aware that it happened right down the street from me. So that will be it. If there's no more, I have nothing to report as well. So,
Judging time.
all right. We're at recess to return at the sound of the gavel. That's my other meeting.
Gotta say, if anybody wants to come with us, the bus is waiting.
If anybody would like to ride with us, we welcome you. We have several seats. We have a couple of seats open. All right. No. In the pot. This is a big pot. Yeah, I will tonight. Huh? Gumbo. Yeah.
Oh, I'm calling you home. Serious.
You can follow me home, but it's not done. We're good? All right, we're back at 8:02. I'm not, by city clock.
Just like to say that we went in, we visited all the or submissions for the Holiday Light Contest. Commission went and did their judging. We will announce the winners at this council meeting on Thursday during the events presentation. But for those that participated, we want to thank everybody. And you will be hearing from the Recreation Department on the outcome. So with that, Chair.
So at this time, we will call for adjournment. We are out of here. Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays. Everybody be well. Oh, we're good.
Oh, this name has to change.